On the previous video, we analyzed the structure of a well-written and organized cover letter. We said that the cover letter, it's this type of letter we use to apply for job positions. It is an extension of your curriculum vitae or resume, which you use to highlight experiences and skills you have that align with that of the job description. Now, let's dive deeper and let's talk about the content. There are four tips about writing the content of your cover letter. Number one, it's to carefully check the job description. This means that before you start writing, it's important to make sure that your skills, competencies, and experience aligns with that they are asking for in the job description. You do that by checking bullet by bullet, analyzing what experiences you have merged with that it's explicitly present on the job description. When you do that, you are clear of the road you want to take when writing the content of your cover letter. Now, a second recommendation is to choose the skills that completely align with that of the job description. With this in mind, it is very important that only if you comply with at least 85 to 90% of your job description, you apply for those positions. If you don't have the minimum, do not go for that. Focus on the jobs that you have the skills for. Remember, you're creating an image that depends a lot on choosing wisely the job roles you want to take. So align your job description with your experiences, your skills, and your competencies. Once you have highlighted these elements and you have them in mind and you have created the list, go on to summarize your experiences. So, with this in mind, what I mean is, okay, I have this skill that it's the skill they're looking for. What experience I have demonstrates or proves that I have this skill and I have used it before. So once you have identified that, you shorten it and you create this brief story that it's going to illustrate this skill in action. In this case, and now moving on to the last tip I have for you here, it's important to use numbers. Numbers give your hiring manager the idea or that opportunity to visualize what you have been able to achieve in your previous job position. Let's take a look at the following cover letter content and the align I am talking about. Let me show you these competencies here. In this case, there are different competencies they're looking for. I have chosen this one that it's demonstrated expertise with HTML5, CSS3, and also I have gone for excellent organizational and time management skills. Let's suppose that these are my competencies. Once I have chosen this, I need to think how I can prove I have these skills and competencies. So I need to check my resume. I need to know my resume. So when I come to writing, what I do is that I summarize that experience. I use numbers to illustrate my skills, my competencies in action. So once you do that, you are aligning the competencies the job requires with those competencies. Now, it's important that when you do this, you are careful and you are thorough with your analysis on the competencies you have and the competencies they require. Because if not, you are not taking full advantage of what might be a good opportunity for you in this job. So, briefly, what you need to do is to have this mindset that it's focused on proving you have the skills, the competencies they are required. Let's go back to the sample we previously presented. This is going to give us a clearer insight as to how to create the content of your cover letter. As previously explained, once you have a clear introduction and this sentence that introduces the skills and competencies you're going to describe, it's time to clearly think of this content. So to create the content, it's always advisable to align your skills, competencies with that of the job description. Once you have done that, you start writing the summary of your experience, which is going to connect your hiring manager with your experience and expertise developed through these experiences you have. In this case, for example, they chose team player and communication skills. However, the content created highlights very specific skills in programming and development. In this case, HTML5 and CSS3. This vocabulary you're using demonstrates you have a clear knowledge or a solid knowledge of what they're looking for to fill in for this position. Use the vocabulary they are using in the job description so you seem as a good fit for the position. Now, another thing to consider here is the combination of soft skills and hard skills. As explained on the previous video, a soft skill, it is a skill or competency that is interchangeable. It is applicable for an English teacher and a developer, or an architect and a lawyer. Being able to be part of a team and have clear communication skills or solid communication skills, it's something that is important for any position and for any profession. However, it is also important to balance out the skills you're highlighting in your cover letter. In this case, if you have already chosen 2 soft skills, go for 2 hard skills, because these are the ones that are going to prove and demonstrate you are a good fit for the position. That's why this particular part, or in other words, this part in which you're highlighting your hard skills, must demonstrate those skills, and these need to be aligned with the appropriate vocabulary used in this industry. So keep in mind that in the case of choosing hard skills, the vocabulary you use in this hard skill should match that of the industry you're working for and that you are applying. With these tips I'm giving you, it is going to be easier to create a cover letter that's comprehensible, that it's clear, that it's easy to read, and also it's impactful on the view of your hiring manager. So, to wrap this up, or to put this very simply, whenever you're writing the content of your cover letter, make sure you have thoroughly checked the job description of a position you are applying. That is going to give you a clear insight as to what your employer is looking for. Try to align your skills, your competencies to that, then move on to creating a summary that presents your skills and abilities and illustrate those skills and abilities with numbers. That is a good way for your hiring manager to visualize your skills in action. Think of a time in which you reduced the budget for a project, Think of a time when you reduce the time a project took. Think of a time when you saved money for your company. Think of a time in which you were very effective at something. Improve it with numbers. That it's going to give you a plus in your application. Now, to close this part, always highlight other skills you have, other competencies you have very briefly, and then finish your cover letter inviting your hiring manager for an interview as soon as possible so you can further discuss how you can be an asset, how you can be a great team member of this company. With this, you are saying you are the fit they're looking for. Again, if you follow these tips, your content is going to be comprehensible, easy to read, and it's going to generate a response that you might be looking